He smokes the bacon and he smokes sauteed onions. So it's all
In the
it's really good.
And we'll go ahead and call to order here this evening. If everybody will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. And welcome everybody this evening. We'll go ahead and start with the second item on the agenda, the communication and board report with the superintendent's report.
Okay, so as usual, it was a very busy month, and so I just wanted to share a few of the highlights before we moved into some special recognition that we have planned for this evening. First off is one of the bigger moves that we have in store is a result of some requested changes from the community and some feedback that we've heard. The accessibility of the middle high school library has been something that has been a sore subject, and so we did over fall break move the library from the upstairs location down to the hallway just on the other side here so that it is more accessible. We have hired a new librarian, Ms. Rose, that is very excited about the opportunity to create a new library space, and once that is ready, we're going to kind of unveil that so that we can get back to building a culture of literacy inside of our school. As part of my new superintendent's internship, Stephen McCauley is superintendent of Paris Independence. He came down and spent a day and took a tour of the campus and had lots of great things to say about what we are doing here at Berea and the progress that we're making in some of our identified goals as we move forward in the direction that we're hoping to go. I had my first meeting with the Superintendent Advisory Council, a group of 18 students. We had a very thorough and thoughtful discussion centering around teaching and learning, school climate and culture, facilities and transportation. I was impressed with the group of students and their willingness to contribute to the conversation and the diverse perspectives that they were able to share to what we were hoping to accomplish. In addition, I worked with the Access team to implement our PD Day on October 13th. We're focused on compassion and resilience, which is something near and dear as we put the mental health of our staff at the forefront, because happy staff allow for happy students, so to make sure that they are receiving the appropriate training for things such as self-care and mindfulness activities. In addition, spotlighting some of the collaboration and partnerships that we have with Berea College. I did meet with President Cheryl Nixon to discuss ways that we can strengthen that partnership. They have a follow-up superintendent's luncheon that I will be attending next week, and we're talking about things like the direct admission process, dual credits, and just ways that we can further strengthen the partnership between the natural relationship of the college and the community. So speaking of natural relationships with the community, the number one thing that I would like to dedicate the rest of the superintendent's report is to recognize Dr. Yves Fontenez for his years of service, not only here at Berea, but education as a whole. I know that there are several things that people, if we gave an open mic, it could go on all night for everybody to express all the ways that Yves has meant so much to this community and this school. And having been here for just a short time, it's very evident to me that he's iconic. He is somebody that is always going to be kind of inextricably linked with the success of Berea Community Schools. As somebody that tries to become a historian and learn as much about this place as I can, his name consistently comes up as somebody that has been loving, has been caring, has been supportive. Thousands of kids have been at his service as he's been a counselor, he's been a teacher, and we are so grateful, not just for the impact that you've had on Berea Community Schools, but Berea community
I want to thank everyone who came out tonight to support me, and I appreciate every one of you. I want to thank, first of all, Will Bondurant, who was a former board member who hired me and Mickey Morin back in 1996, and Misha Jones. I want to thank all the parents and the students and the staff who've always supported me through thick and thin. When my sister passed, and then when my mom has been so sick. So I just want to say thank you all to everyone who's been here. I have loved this school. I feel like I feel like a pirate. Even though I did not graduate from Berea. But I just want you all to know that I love you all very much, and there's a next chapter in my life. I don't know what that's going to look like. But just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I just love you all so much, and love this school, and love the students. And I will be around, so if you need anything, just let me know. I can't do anything till after February 1st, because when you retire, you can't do anything for 90 days. But I will be around, and thank you to all of you for every year of your support. So thank you.
I'll point out to Eve that the 90-day rule doesn't apply to me asking for advice, so I can ask right away. Thank you for that report. We will, after that, move on to the financial report for this evening.
Right, good evening. I don't know how you follow Dr. Fontanez. And you'll all be happy to know I have much less to say this month than I did last month with the budget and all that. So we'll get through this.
And former student.
Yeah. I was telling Dr. Fontanez the other day. I think he was one of the first people I met when I crossed the hallway from elementary to. Yeah, I knew you first. I did. But I think it was like the first day of 6th grade, and I was like, I don't know, what, 11. And, Dr. Fontanez was my advisor, and he had to show me how to get to class. Known him longer than I've not.
And look how well you turned out.
So I really just have my regular reports tonight. We'll touch on a few things, and then we'll move on. Promise, I know I kept you all a very long time last month. So if you look at September, total revenue and interest was $857.36.23. Total expenditures was $754,041.31. So revenue was higher than expenditures. General fund, though, we did spend about $130 more than we brought in, and this is a cash flow timing. We'll get into that a little bit on the tax revenue. That's about the only thing outside the reports I've got for you tonight. This is expected, though. This is exactly kind of how we thought the year would play out, and we're still on the right track. I do want to still feel good about everything. If you look at food service, they had $51,786 in revenue, and they also kind of start the year out the same way. They spent $71,615.76, and a lot of that's because everything's on reimbursement for a month, so we're kind of in the lag, catching up to that first month of school and everything. If you look at our year over year for September, our general fund expense expenditures are the big thing there. You can see where we were at this year. This time last year, since we're still about 130 off, we spent another $250,000 last year. So this was an ugly time last year. And looking at food service, they're actually up about $2,200 versus the same time last year. We did start getting our property tax payments. We got the first small payment in October. It's in October. It's not in the September report. That's kind of the big thing we've all been waiting for to help us. That's when we'll be able to start digging out and really getting back to firm footing. So the final report on property taxes for the year, we brought in about, between franchise and property, is a little over $2.5 million. And that's about 28% of our general fund budget that we have control over. So that's a pretty substantial chunk. And this right here is what I'm talking about on general fund as far as how the cash flow is working. This is actuals for last year on how the property tax revenue comes in. So as you can see, we didn't get anything until November last year. So we've already got 17,000. I think that's probably all we'll get for it's a blip. But we get over half traditionally of our property tax revenue right there in November. So that's kind of what we're waiting for. General fund will be looking a lot better after that, and I just want to report that I feel like we're in a lot better place. I feel like we've got a lot of things under control, and as long as we stay on this, keep doing the things that we've been doing, it's still going to be tough for a while, but I do think we're on the right track. Just a couple other updates. We are still working on our audit. We've still got a few things back and forth with the auditor. That's normal. It's all going well so far. I don't know of any big blaring, terrible thing that I need to warn you all about this time. So that's an improvement. We got our SEEK tentative numbers, and for the year as a whole, they were 43,000 and some change higher than what the tentative is. So that's not really the newsworthy part. But last year, our tentative was over 300,000 more than the forecast. So again, thank you to Mr. French for working with me on that. He gave me good solid enrollment and attendance numbers that we were able to plug in. And anytime we get any increase, that's good. But last year we had the rug pulled out from under us with that 300,000, and then we'll get the final numbers in February. Last year that dipped us another 40,000, and I don't expect that to be the case. I think we could go up even more, but if we even just stay at what we're budgeted at, that's good news compared to, hey, you set a budget and then you find out halfway through the year you're going to get less. So that's all I have.
And we can move on to attendance and enrollment.
So you got numbers in the board packet, but I'll just go ahead and say Ms. Caldwell just asked me a second ago how many we've enrolled in the last week, and I just did a quick rough count. It looked like we've enrolled 8 students in the last week since fall break. So those numbers change daily, it seems like. So right now, we're sitting at 893 students in our district. And the attendance rate is holding steady at 93%. No big changes or any major problems coming up for attendance and enrollment. So 2 in a row. There you go.
Well, the goal was 92 was the minimum, correct?
That's where we'd like to be above this year, because we were at around 92 last year.
do you attribute the growth to? Like, what's the main factor people keep coming back to Berea for the new ones transferring over? Do they tell you?
No, nobody really says much about why they're coming or why they're leaving. I just think that we're putting a lot bigger focus on academics and instruction than we've had in the past, and people are noticing that we're making changes and fixing some of the issues we've had, and I think that's the biggest reason why we have more enrollment now, is people are seeing us moving back to where we should be.
Thank you.
Do we have any idea in terms of the different, our local population that are in these different grades that we have? Do we have any idea in the general population, are there more students, potential students out there in our precinct, excuse me, in our district or nearby our district?
I'm sure there are any number of students who are at the county or at Model or wherever doing a virtual program through another district that are in our district, that live in our district, but I couldn't tell you the numbers there. Too many variables involved in all that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's move on to the energy management report.
I don't have that one.
And I don't know who has it. Oh, did Charlie leave? Okay. We will hold that for another day then, and in which case, Casey, I will cede the floor to you, sir. Thank you very much.
I have to say thank you, Eve. All those years, my 22 years here with you, I just appreciate you greatly, and you've been a great mentor. So I appreciate that. And so many of you here that I see that have come out to support him, I thank you for that too. We're rocking and rolling in the elementary school. We've had a lot of fun, and we are really instructional driven. I think that the morale is good up with staff, and I think the morale is good up with students. We've incorporated, we just had our Treasure Day, which is our reward system PBIS model for the first grading period that took place last Friday. I think kids left with a smile, and all students were able to participate and gain. So it's a coin system throughout the 9 weeks, or the grading period, I guess you should say. So all students were able to participate, and I think that they enjoyed that. I was looking today, our behavioral referrals are down tremendously. We still have some students that we're always working with and trying to get them to improve in those areas, but at the same time, they're down dramatically from previous years in our system. So I think that's something to note. A lot of consistency going on in the classroom with instruction. Mr. Dollins, which he's back here, does an excellent job every day. I'm very proud of him and all the work that he puts in with our students. Before fall break, we celebrated our staff. We did a Wheel of Fortune game show with our staff, and they competed for prizes in front of the students. And one of the things that I took from that was the fact that our students cheered and hollered and praised our staff, which is pretty awesome to see, and they enjoyed that just as much as I think the staff did. Let's see what else I've got here. I want to remind Mr. French that elementary just recently took over attendance in the district. We've surpassed the middle school by about a point, so we got to make note of that. Yeah, so middle school's got something to.
They're almost at 94% too, so.
Oh, yeah, and that's right, we are. We were at 93.90% attendance, and so we're almost 94% in elementary attendance. We had a dip there at the beginning of the school year, and we really rose from there. Overall, I mean, it's an evaluatory year for me to just kind of see where we are in elementary. I'm giving a lot of freedom to teachers to teach. I'm not standing over top of their shoulders, but I am watching from a distance, and we're going to be starting some conversations with those teachers very soon about their growth plans and whatnot that they've submitted. So a lot going on in elementary and very positive. Next month I will report, I put out a survey to parents asking questions. I think there was about 20 total of questions about communication, about behavior, about anything that they may need. It will tie into our needs assessment as we go on through our CSEP planning in the near months coming up. I'll report back on that. As of today, it was all positive. Had roughly under 100 that participated, but it was all positive so far. So the feedback's been really good, but we want to take that, we want to run with it and improve on anything and suggestions that are given. So I'm very pleased. I think if I had hair, it would be burning whenever I first started in elementary, because I was like, what am I doing here? But at the same time, I love it, and it's been such a positive time for me, and I've grown to love it. And I think that our teachers and our students are all in a good place right now. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one question. We had recently talked about the clubs, and you guys have started up on every other Friday, right?
No, it's once a month.
Once a month.
We have to build around instruction. So we're coming up here in October, so that's something else too. Next, we have what we call Pirate Day now, and we will look at having clubs on those days. Next Friday, we're not having clubs because they'll be having Halloween parties in their classrooms and stuff, so that kind of bumped that. Also, I signed Mr. Dollins up for this. We have all these challenges all the time that students can earn to be put in the drawing for. You know, like one of the biggies right now is acts of kindness that we're looking for in elementary. And they will have an opportunity to slime Mr. Dollins and myself next Friday with a contraption we bought. It's kind of like a dunking booth, but with a bucket that pours over your head. So I signed Mr. Dollins up for that one and myself. And so that'll be something that the kids will get to have some fun with next Friday too. And anybody's welcome. You want to come sign in and watch me get slime? Go for it. Any other questions?
I was going to ask about the innovative origin of the idea for the Wheel of Fortune for the.
Well, we did that last year in middle school. I think it was important we need to praise our staff. We need to reward our staff and have opportunities for that. And our kids need to have an opportunity to be a part of that with them. And it went over very well, and I brought it to the elementary, and it was a lot of fun.
Great, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Good evening. So I would just like to say, through all of these changes, I'm very grateful to work with Mr. Pointer. I think we've had a really good year. It's been a very smooth year. And again, public schools are not free from situations and issues and things, but I'm just glad to have a good team here to work with, so thank you for that. I did submit a pretty extensive report, so I'm sure you have read most of that, but I want to begin by saying thank you, Eve, for all of the work that you have done here and for all your contributions. And I worked with Eve, actually, I was a high school counselor when I first met him, gosh, maybe 20 or more years ago. I was a counselor in another district, so he and I worked pretty closely. We had students coming back and forth between schools, and he's just always been very caring and just really loved the students and took care of our faculty and staff, so I really appreciate all of the work that you've done. Thank you. I'm just going to touch base on a few highlights. I really enjoyed our Professional Learning and Development Day, so thank you, Dr. Neves, and thanks to our Access team. We have an amazing mental health Access team here, and it was so nice to have a professional learning and development where we are taking care of ourselves, and we failed to do that so many times. It was a wonderful day where we just had time to talk and fellowship, and I did the yoga class with the Berea College PE teacher, and she's a yoga teacher as well, and it was just so delightful. It was really nice. Just want to highlight some of the things that are going on. We have our Homecoming Spirit Week. It is wild in middle and high school. It is structured chaos, by the way. So I sent some communications out to parents and students and faculty yesterday. But we have dress-up days each day. Our middle school is having their Boo Bash dance on Friday, and we paired that with our homecoming football game so that they can get parent permission and walk over. And the goal is that our middle school is, doing more things with high school. For the first time in several years, our middle school is building a float for the parade, which will be on Thursday. We'd love to see everyone at the parade. actually is starting at 6 p.m. this year, so that's different than in previous years, so that we can have more parents and community members to attend. So we hope you will take part in those homecoming activities. Also then, our high school homecoming dance will be on Saturday night, so all the students are just really excited. I see some students here that are leaders in our school, and they've been working very hard to get things together, so I appreciate all of our students here. Also, just a couple of highlights. Student recognition, congratulations to the following our students for making the 44th District Soccer All-Tournament team. Caden Lawson, Rose Ramsey, James Lunford, and Daniel Stefan. So that was a pretty big ticket item for them. Yes. Also, we have our Berea Athletic Hall of Fame banquet inductees. That will also be on Saturday, and I think we have a graduating class of, let's see, it was Mary Pat's. 95. What is it? 95. 95. Graduating class of 95 is going to do a walkthrough on Saturday as well, on Saturday morning. So many exciting activities that are going for Homecoming Spirit Week. As far as academics go, we are very grateful that we have interventionists both in middle, elementary, and high school. Our interventionists have worked very intentionally to use data, our iExcel and iReady data, to identify students that we can really move forward academically. So we're focusing on that tiered system of intervention and really supporting our students academically to help them to master skills and to just build those skills so that they can go forward. If you look at our data, I'm really excited for our data to come out. It's scheduled to come out approximately October 23rd is what it stated, but we're thinking around October 30th. But once that data comes out, I'm really excited to see how that's going to look with our middle and high school. I know that everyone has worked really hard. We have excellent teachers here, and they have really focused heavily on instruction. Let's see, what else do I have? We did have our SBDM meeting today at 4 p.m. We do have a combined SBDM group, an excellent group of decision makers to really help us push instruction and move that forward. So we invite you to come and join us. That is every month, and that will be at 4 p.m. on the same Monday as the board meeting. So thank you all for coming tonight, and just look forward to working with you and with our students, with our faculty and staff. Any questions?
On the senior front of college readiness, how much have you increased since last month?
So we're working. We have 91 seniors this year. Last year we increased 30.5 percentage points. We have been giving the Coyote College Readiness Test. We've given it in all 3 areas, and so we've had approximately 10 to 15 students that have passed the Coyote and they're now college ready. When you leave, when you walk out, make sure that you look at our Senior College Readiness Board out here. It's right beside my office, and it has pictures of our students, and it tells how they became college ready. So they're all working toward that goal, and we keep focusing on 100% college readiness and just talking with them through that. We have a great group of seniors this year. Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, we now have 15 minutes or up to 15 minutes for audience comments. I would remind folks, if you do make a comment, please try and keep it short so other people also have a chance to get the microphone.
I'm not used to microphones. This is not about me, but in a way it is. I wrote plays, as many of you know, maybe some of you were in them, my original scripts that went on to win multiple state championships. There should still be trophies down in this sports area. And these, if I wrote them, I directed them, I produced them, and now I've had them published for over 20 years. But it was all these students, all of these students. Your son was one of the best tech people I ever had. Devoted. And there may be others who are here. I feel like I'm talking all around the wrong way, but I am really proud of what we accomplished. And so I mention that because my plays would probably be censored if the Republican members of our Kentucky State Legislature could come and read them or see my productions. I've got film. I think I'd be in trouble. Just to remind you all, first one we wrote and took to state and our actors walked off with all the awards was The Trip, Mental Illness in Teenagers. The next one was Just One Day, Teen Pregnancy. Head on, flat addressed it. It was made into a movie by KET and it aired on PBS, and it won, and I know this because Lynn Press himself told me this, the founding executive director of Kentucky Educational Television, the first ever Corporation for Public Broadcasting Award was to this movie, Just One Day. And all of that is great work, and it's about the kids. Dream Walk was the next one, Cancer in Youth. We don't like to think about it. We never thought about it that much. It was, when I wrote it, it didn't involve any thinking about my daughter. It was just something I wanted to write about. I knew it was happening elsewhere. Then I wrote a play called The Greater Danger. And it is my Diary of Anne Frank. And it's about that period. And it's in the Netherlands, Amsterdam. And I right now am adjusting that script to go back to the publisher because I feel that in the current environment in our country, I need to revisit and qualify some things. That's where I'm going.
And we do have to give you about 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Quiet Place. Some of you may have been in that movie. I don't know if you were or not. Some of you were. A Moment in Time was teen suicide. And The Marking, another play I wrote, which I'm reworking, is about gangs and bullies and murder in teenage groups. Now those are pretty morbid in a way, but it worked. It worked for us. And I was proud of all of our kids, and I just wanted to say that. I also would like to say that we're hopeful, Norma and I, that we're going to have a new Sarah Care event. We've not had one since COVID, and we hope to have a Sarah Care event in the spring. And we could never have done our Sarah Care events without the students and the faculty and Eve and everybody who helped us. And I just mentioned it, I don't have a date. And I thank you for listening. Last thing is, Eve, you're the best.
If anybody can go back and tell my 16-year-old self that I get to cut Mr. Kennedy off in his own theater, please do that.
Thanks for the offer of future help with the need for fundraising, Mr.
Absolutely.
Kennedy.
And see no, yep, one moment.
While she's on her way up, without a microphone, I've made the offer and I've talked to a few people that there are a lot of us who are retired teachers who can still get up and go after we get our coffee. We could be in this time. Craig. We could be resource people in the classroom. Doesn't cost anything, we're certified, qualified, and that's something we can do. Thank you, Jackie.
Okay, I'm Brenda Lambert, and I have several former students. Would you raise your hand if you're a former student of mine? Hey, God bless you.
God bless you.
Well, 43 years I spent here. Eddie, I spent longer than Eddie, but I want this school to be successful. I want you to be successful. I have spent many anxious hours after I came to one or two of the board meetings earlier. And a lot of anxiety and questions, just as you had. And you're trying to get back on course, and I'm proud of that. But in the process of that, you need to give the teachers academic freedom. Now, that doesn't mean that they can do anything they want, you know. I don't mean that. But you need to give academic freedom, because that's what I had in my students in English, in journalism, and many of my students went on to do other things in journalism and English. And I loved them. I loved all of them. I feel like this school, it's like we're a public school, but we have a private mentality. It's in the sense that each student, we want to be a supporter, an advocate for each student here. And I know people say that, and it sounds, you know, platitudes and all that. But I'm saying it's true. I really feel that we at this school, in the past, now I started in 1969 when this school opened. And I have seen good and I have seen bad. And we've had rough patches, and that's what this is. But I want the best for the school. And I want the academic freedom not to be squashed. And I know you won't do that, because that's what allows teachers to be with students and to do things that are excellent, superior. I won't go through the things that awards that I've had, but but that's good. I love it. I love it. And I'll tell you one thing. While Gary Conklin is here, he's a former superintendent. And I love Gary as a person, but when he put these walls up, I cried. I loved it without walls. It was wonderful. And the kids who came back to me, other than special needs, now that's a different thing, you know, but just the general person who came out of this school, graduated, that said, you know what, we can go anywhere and do anything. Absolutely. We can work with noise, we can do whatever it is. And that was the beauty of the school. Now, I know Gary had his own plan there. But I just want to tell you publicly, no, I didn't like it at all. But did I go over and storm and mad and angry and, you know, no, I didn't do any of that. I just told my husband a lot of things. But anyhow, I want you to know this school, and let me tell you this. Now, I had a house in Dogwood Circle. It's my son's now. And it was annexed into the school district, what, like 2 years ago maybe? I'm not sure. But do you know, out of $1,800 and some dollars of his taxes, $1,354 goes to this school. Now, you all, that's a good amount of money. And I'm saying that means that we are responsible to our taxpayers. We are responsible to the parents. He doesn't have children anymore here. But am I happy that he can pay it? Yes. I believe this system is worth it. I believe that we are worth fighting for and getting through this terrible time and learning from it. If you don't learn from it, just forget it. If you do the same things that were done before, you'll have the same result. So you've got to be vigilant. Every person on this board needs to be vigilant and say, look, I'm going to look at everything that goes past me. You know? Okay, I'm just saying, I want to be positive. That's how I live my life. And again, I would give it to this school in a heartbeat, because I believe in it, and I see the product, the kids that we have. I call them kids. My oldest student, ex-student now would be 70.
Dan, you're supposed to have my back on that one. 10 seconds, please.
And I still call them kids. But I want you to know, you can love this system, you can fight for it, but you can learn from the mistake. Don't make it again. Don't let anybody make it again. But for goodness sakes, let your teachers teach.
reports?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure. I, Shepherd's Crook too. I don't have any kids, I'm 22, so I don't have kids that go here. But I graduated from here, and he did just about damn near everything he could to get me to graduate. As well as, where'd he go? There he is. And there he is. But a bunch of them helped, especially him, making sure if I had a grade low, he found me and got it back up. If I was just doing terrible in class, he'd go and talk to that teacher, or he'd give me what I need. But there is not one time that I spent in this entire school that I did not feel accommodated by him and everyone around me. So I just want to get up here and say thank you for all your help. Thank you for getting me out on the roads and out in the public. And you are responsible for that.
So Jay, since you coaxed me into it.
and just, we've got 2 minutes for whatever's left, so we can move through.
Okay.
My name's Jordan. I know some of you. We moved here 18 months ago, so I can't tell you any stories about the past. Sorry, I wasn't here. Our kids are in 5th grade and 7th grade, and last week I heard some news that there was probably going to be some changes to our SRO position. I reached out to the superintendent, reached out to the principal, talked to the parents. At the end of the day, this is not my decision, but I do see Officer Bradley in the audience, and I just want to say thank you. Sorry I'm getting a little emotional, but don't videotape that or put it in the minutes. But after a really difficult corporate move, the second one in a couple years, you made a really big difference in our family, and we're very grateful, and I'll pay you back in cookies. I have your cell phone. I didn't know where the police department is, and I'm sorry our son is probably going to be a firefighter thanks to the instructors here. It's not going to be the same if you're not here. So I just want to say thanks, and you are part of the group of people who helped our children and our family get through the trauma of last spring here at the school. A trauma that was pretty surprising as a new family. And so you made a difference in our lives, and we're grateful. So thank you very much.
So Jay, since you coaxed me into coming up here, my name is Ben Robinson. I'm a pirate, class of 1984. I've served on the school board here for 5-6 years. It's great to see Mr. Compton. It's great to see Mr. Kennedy so passionately about what he believes in, and I believe with it 100%. Eve, thank you for everything you've done to this school, and other folks that I see in this crowd as well. I would like to say one thing. When I was on the board here, and don't get me wrong, I love all the presentations, I love all the numbers and all that stuff. I was always the person on this board that would ask the whys. I was the 5th grader in the backseat of the car saying, why do we do that? And my question to those that are giving reports, give me the why on why we're at 93%. What is that 7% delta, and what does that mean? As opposed to it's there. And try to be more granular in your reports, please, to where we all have a better understanding of where we are and what the future looks like. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for the questions and comments this evening. Let's move on to item 3, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
All in favor? Aye. And we have our consent items for this evening. We have the minutes from the September 15th meeting, our financial reports, the revised SBDM allocations, a notification of an 8th grade trip to Nashville, Tennessee, a district facilities plan waiver, A recommendation to cancel our November 3rd assessment work session. Also, a JAG and student chaperone attendance at a National Student Leadership Association conference, approving attendance for that. And I believe that is the last of the consent items. Anything to pull out, board members? Okay. Sorry, I gotta go back and find it. So we are being asked to approve an 8th grade overnight trip to Nashville, Tennessee on May 15th to 16th. The students will travel by coach bus to Nashville to the Adventure Science Center at Fort Negley, the Frisk Art Museum, and the Country Music Hall of Fame. Ms. Guthrie has requested this along with Principal Caldwell, and it's been recommended by Dr. Neems. Any further information, Jackie?
As Ben Robinson would say, why? Why Nashville?
Ms. Caldwell, can you answer the question about the 8th grade Nashville, Tennessee trip?
Well, in terms of why Nashville, I've accompanied 8th grade trips to other destinations, but why Nashville?
Well, in the past, from my understanding, the middle school has traveled to Washington, D.C., so we were looking at how much it would cost, of course, to fundraise. This Nashville trip, we actually met with a company, and it seems like it would be very feasible to raise that money. It's very educational. They get to go to museums, to historic sites, so it's very educational in nature, close enough to home to where we believe that we can raise the money to get there. And of course, we're thinking in terms of their safety as well. Ultimately, it would be awesome if we can get to the point where we can get them back to a Washington, D.C. trip. It has gone up significantly. So with this Nashville plan, we feel like we would have the opportunity to raise the money and be able to give them a great educational experience with that.
Thank you for the why. I was thinking in terms of alternates. For example, the fort mentioned there in Nashville has information that dates back to the era about Civil War. So have these 8th graders anywhere gone in their years here gone to Camp Nelson, which is Civil War?
Is that something you can answer?
Yeah, National Park, and about 60 miles away.
Okay.
So in the last couple of years leading up to this, each year we try to get them, opportunities that are educational, that are local. Try to do that from a feasible standpoint. What it comes down to is like raising the money's always just been an 8th grade trip situation as far as actually being able to maybe possibly go on overnight or anything like that. So to say that, we've done a lot of things like in the Richmond battlefield, we've had experiences over there. We've done other events in the past, but as far as, I don't know, like a couple of years ago, we did an overnight trip in Louisville and we did all the museums and things. Just try to create an experience for them to have an overnight trip as they finish middle school.
Well, one more. In terms of fundraising, at this point in our national economy, and a lot of families who have anyone working for the federal government is not in as stable a position as they would have been. But what might be an alternative in case the bottom really drops out and you want to be able to still have some kind of trip alternative, but something more financially.
Yeah, I can kind of speak to that. Last year we were faced with that. When we got out there and we started looking at it and trying to do fundraising and seeing what families could afford, we ended up having to just do a day trip. We took them to we wanted a fun experience for them, so we were able to go out all day long, and we went to a trampoline park and did some other fun activities, and then we were able to feed them at buffets and different things, just to have an experience for them to kind of just be together before they finish their 8th grade year. So there's alternatives there for day trips out there, and educational experiences for them.
I guess they're just trying to see if it's a possibility or not, you know. And it might not be. We ran into that last year.
I think Camp Nelson has a lot more rich history than the place in Nashville. But I'm biased about Kentucky. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy.
I am going to ask Dr. Neves, since we just discussed the district facilities plan waiver at a meeting just prior to this, if you just talk a little bit about that meeting and what that means that we are going to have this district facilities plan waiver.
Yeah, just in a nutshell is any of the construction projects or capital outlay fund expenditures that are used inside of a school district have to come from a district facilities plan that has to be created by a local planning committee. The local planning committee is comprised of a diverse perspective of 18 members of the various stakeholder groups in our community, and they come together to identify what are the priorities for different projects that can happen throughout the campus. Where we're at is we do not anticipate, based upon current funding status, that we would have any construction projects in the immediate future. So KDE has a process where every 4 years you have to renew your district facilities plan, or under extenuating circumstances such as not having money for projects, you can apply for a waiver. And so we applied for a waiver, and we had to still form the local planning committee and come to a consensus agreement, or a unanimous agreement actually, that the waiver is the right move for us in our current status. The important thing to make sure everybody is aware of that we talked about in the local planning committee is that this isn't a permanent thing. If we request the waiver now, that's just saying we don't have to pay for the architect, we don't have to pay for all of the costs that are associated with having 8 to 10 meetings to outline all of the data points that come with planning out your facilities, because there are still some unmet objectives that were in our facilities plan that we would still identify, such as I think there was the building, the cafeteria is in there, locally identified programs, which is your CTE and ATF stuff, media center in elementary school, and custodial receiving dock. Those things are still identified as priorities, and they would continue to remain as priorities.
Appreciate that. Any further items to call out, or shall we proceed to a vote?
I actually have one more. The cancel the work session assessment, could you please explain to that one?
Yeah, with the new commissioner, there's been a ton of changes with the accountability model and system, and normally that data is already out, and it's just not out. And so by November 3rd, we will not have the data necessary to conduct a work session.
Thank you for the explanation.
Approve the consent items.
I motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that takes us to our items for board consideration. We have a first reading of an approval of a policy revision related to student trips. There will be no student religions, I promise. Questions from the board members about the revisions to the policy?
Tell us what it said, being revised to what? I'm just now looking at it.
Yeah, I can definitely answer this. I really appreciated the public comment about learning from the mistakes of the past, and one of the things is that your policy shouldn't paint you into a corner, and that's exactly what had happened in the school-related student trips policy. The language said there that the board will pay for either one district trip or one out-of-district trip per year, or for 2 in-district trips if no out-of-district trip is taken, per department, per grade level, where appropriate. So essentially tying the board to having to pay for a field trip for every grade level over the course, which could be thousands upon thousands of dollars. And so I, upon my research and reaching out to KSBA for draft policies, couldn't find any other district that had outlined that the board would be required to pay for these types of things. Obviously, the board, in good faith effort in supporting all of our programs, they want to pay for these things, but it's not something that we should have in policy. So the adjustment is just to strike that phrase that ties the board to a requirement of paying for X amount of trips over the course of a year.
So the trips can still be organized, but not dependent upon the board paying.
Correct, and they are still welcome to request for the board to pay for those. But just taking out the semantics of it.
Good decision, thank you.
Boys Basketball Booster Club, which sounds vaguely familiar to me for some reason. Mr. Fields has asked that we approve the establishment of a booster club to generate funds in support of high school boys basketball program. It also has the recommendation of the superintendent.
Can we get a little description of what is the 21st century version of a booster club?
You were the
Mr. Fields?
president, so you know more about it than me.
I once maybe knew more about it. I'm going to defer to my finance person to talk about what it means to form a booster club.
Okay, so more or less, it's a completely separate organization. So they will have their own tax ID. They'll be a separate entity from the school, and they can fundraise in the name of, in this case, basketball. And the big thing is it lets community members be more involved, and it also removes some of the red tape with some of the student fundraising. It makes fundraising more flexible and easier, to be honest. They can go out, if they want to buy something for the basketball team and they've raised the money for it, they can just buy it. They don't have to go get a purchase order and go through all of these different steps. Once they donate it, it becomes property of the school, so it doesn't remain property of the booster. That's the biggest thing. It just gives a lot more flexibility because it is a separate organization. So they don't have to wait until we're here and, Monday at 7:30, or if they want to do something after 4 o'clock, they're not tied to our office hours. And that's a big thing with coaches too, because, now a lot of our coaches work here, but of course they've got work to do while we're working. And then, our coaches that aren't employed here, that are out in the community doing other things, it's very hard to get up with them and get those fundraiser approvals and this and that. So it's really about flexibility.
And it is still governed by the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, so there is the red book. There are policies and procedures standardly in place that would make sure that this follows the rules and doesn't get us any particular trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Move for approval.
Well, one more point. I'm slow walking down the road to approve, but just one more point. With Title IX, and the school is working to just be vigilant in looking
to him as well, and was still doing his job, as I said, protect and serve. The front office was still stressed, even though it was before fall break. All of our schools ran ahead and volunteers needed, but we've had a lot of increase in volunteers, which is something I saw. Also, the youth league, the Berea Youth Basketball League started recently. I don't know if you guys noticed, they also put it on the webpage. And, yep, it was a great experience. So thank you again to the principals and to the teachers who I popped in on. I also saw Craig Dollins' room with all the superheroes. It was crazy cool. My son was so happy. He was like, yeah, that's Mr. Dollins. Right? Like Dinosaur Dude. I was like, okay. Thank you, son. But I'm very excited about what the future holds for both elementary, increasing not only attendance, but in the engagement, as I saw throughout my visit there, and for further future years of future Pirates.
I've been told that our SRO, which has been here for quite a while, his contract's not gonna be renewed. And I don't understand why. It's because he makes too much money, is what I've been told. But you take into account that we have 3 schools here. He's taking care of elementary, middle school, and high school. A normal SRO only does 1 school. They do a high school, they do an elementary school, or they do a middle school. And I'd like to know why. I know the board has no control over that. But why would you get rid of somebody that not only gives his heart and soul to this school, but he volunteers. He volunteers for the basketball team, he volunteers for the baseball team. You won't find that with most SROs. And we're not gonna be able to get a good SRO for $13,000 a year, I'll tell you that right now. So I would like for you as superintendent to rethink your thoughts on that. His contract's not up yet, and I believe that if you brought him in and talked to him, that you could renegotiate with him and work with him, because I don't know of a student that goes here that doesn't love him in some way or the other, that does not respect him. And what you're comparing his salary, yes, he makes more money, but he does a heck of a lot more than that SRO does at Madison County Schools, okay? He has 3 schools he's doing. We don't have 1 school, we have 3 schools. We have elementary, middle, and high school. And he should be paid according to that. So think about it, you know, you're new here, but think about what you are doing to this school and to this community, okay? I worked hard to build this school and make it what it is. And I'm not gonna let you tear it down with 1 whisk, okay? Thank you.
I yield time.
Thank you. I've been grateful to hear from a lot of folks and got to chat with a lot of folks here in advance of this meeting. And I felt compelled to acknowledge what I think we are feeling another wave of that we experienced early this year. The harsh reality of the financial situation we found ourselves in meant that we, as a board, let me own that, we as a board, made some really difficult decisions that were tied to what I'm gonna say is financial best practices or KDE requirements. And no one would have chosen that, because I love Ms. Lambert's phrase about how we are a public institution and feel like a private one. I think that captures a lot of that spirit. And at the same time, we have to have a balanced budget. So I want to acknowledge that a lot of the cuts and the loss that this school experienced early this year is now being felt in the classroom. I would imagine anyone who is in the class, in the school building, feels that on a regular basis. And I think we are in a place where we are feeling that again.
not personal, it's business. And it's not that at all. It is financial, and it is deeply personal. And those two things are tied together in a way that will make it incredibly hard to say goodbye to specific people. And I think that our SRO is a great example of that, because I have not known Berea without him. And I say that at the same time that I want to extend gratitude to Mr. Sweet and to Dr. Neves for holding us diligently to a tight financial expectation. I appreciate that guidance, and I am sorry that there's times that it is so unpleasant to feel like the bottom line is what we have to respond to. And I also appreciate that that's where we are so that we can keep going as a school. Thank you.
I think I will let Sarah pretty much have the last word for this evening, because I think that was incredibly well put. I do want to say that I appreciate the ongoing efforts from Dr. Neves to continue to move this school forward, and I want to say publicly he has my full support. I think he's working really, really hard to build great relationships everywhere that he can, including with the city of Berea, and we will continue to talk to them and negotiate with them on every point that we can, and I look forward to continued success with everybody in the room. So thanks everybody for sharing. We're going to disagree sometimes, but we'll still get better together. And I hope everyone has a good night, and adjourn for the evening, everybody.